Smoke rose from the village. The smell of burning wood and plastic filled the air. Human voices crying, shouting, begging echoed in the distance. High above, metal ships hovered in the sky, dark and silent like monsters watching their prey. Young girl named Alara hid behind a broken wall. She covered her mouth with both hands, trying not to make a sound. Her parents had told her to run when the soldiers arrived. She had listened. Now she was alone. Through the cracks in the wall, she saw them, the Empire's enforcers. Tall, armored aliens with glowing eyes and sharp weapons. Their language was harsh, metallic. They pointed at people, choosing who to take. The rest were left to suffer or die. Alara's hands trembled. Her eyes, once full of fear, were now cold. Quietly she whispered, "One day, we'll fight back." Years passed. Earth had become a prison. Cities were broken, skies full of smoke, oceans poisoned by Empire factories. Every day, humans were taken, used as workers, test subjects, or worse. The Galactic Empire ruled with fire and fear. Their message was simple: obey or disappear. But not all humans obeyed. Deep underground, hidden from Empire eyes, a group of humans worked in secret. They called themselves the Hidden Flame Dot in an old subway tunnel in New York, now abandoned and forgotten. 5 humans sat around a cracked table. A small hologram flickered in the air above them, showing a map of Earth with red dots. Each dot was an Empire facility. "Too many," said Marcus, the group's leader. His voice was low, filled with frustration. "They've turned our planet into a lab." "We're not strong enough to fight them," said Maya, a former pilot. "Not yet." An old man named Dr. Kessler leaned forward. His voice was calm but firm. "Maybe not. But we can call the ones who are." The others looked at him, confused. "I've been working on a deep space signal," Kessler explained. "Years ago, a few ships escaped Earth, humans. They fled. The first time the Empire came. If they survived, they might still be out there." Marcus narrowed his eyes. "You're saying there's a chance they've built something?" Kessler nodded. "Maybe a fleet, maybe more, but we have to try." Far above Earth, in a secret Empire research station on the moon, alarms suddenly began to scream. A technician shouted in panic. "Unregistered signal detected. Deep space origin." The Empire's officer, a tall blue-skinned alien with 4 glowing eyes, slammed his fist on the console. "Trace it, now!" Another technician shook their head. "It's a burst transmission. No origin trace. It disappeared after launch." The officer growled. "Send a report to the Corps. Someone on Earth is trying to call for help." Back underground, Kessler watched the screen go dark. The signal had been sent. Now, all they could do was wait. Maya turned to him. "What if no one answers?" "Then we die trying," Kessler replied. "But we won't die quiet." Suddenly, a loud explosion shook the tunnel. Dust rained from the ceiling. The entrance behind them caved in. Empire troops. Marcus shouted, grabbing a stolen plasma rifle. "They found us!" The group scattered. Gunfire filled the air. Alara, now older, sharper, and a trained fighter, fired back with a steady hand. She was no longer the scared girl behind the wall. She was something else now. One by one, they pushed through the back tunnels, but the Empire was fast. Maya was hit in the leg. She fell, but Alara pulled her up. "I'm not leaving anyone behind," Alara said. They reached a backup tunnel and climbed out into the ruins of the city. Behind them, the Empire base exploded. Kessler had stayed behind and triggered a final trap. Marcus stared at the rising smoke. He sent the signal. Gave his life for it. Alara looked at the stars. Her voice was quiet but firm. Then someone better hear it. Light years away, in a hidden part of space, a ship sat still in the darkness. Black like space itself, silent, deadly dot inside. Humans moved through its halls, taller, stronger. wearing armor made of unknown metals. These weren't the broken people Earth knew. These were the survivors, the ones who had escaped. Their leader, Commander Riven, stepped forward as the signal replayed. He watched the transmission from Earth short, cracked but clear. Earth is under control. Empire rules all. We ask for aid. Not mercy, but revenge. Riven looked at his officers. They enslaved us, took our planet, killed our people. He clenched his fist. Now we strike back. Back on Earth, Ilara and the others hid in the forest outside the city. The stars above seemed brighter tonight. Marcus sat by a small fire. Do you think they got it? Ilara didn't answer. Instead, she looked up at the stars. Something blinked in the sky. Not a star. Not a ship. A fleet. Tears ran down her cheeks. They got it, she whispered. And this time, humanity wouldn't fight alone. Cold stars filled the dark space between galaxies. Nothing moved, nothing lived. And yet, far beyond the edge of known space, deep in the shadows, something waited. The silence was broken. A pulse of light, a signal raced across the stars. It reached an old ship hidden inside a black nebula. It was a massive human battlecruiser, black as night, shaped like a sharp blade. For years, it had remained quiet, invisible to sensors, forgotten by the Empire. Inside the command deck, a young officer shouted, "Commander Riven!" "We picked something up." Riven stepped forward. His face was marked with scars. His eyes were sharp, cold, and calculating. He wore black armor with no symbols, only the Earth flag stitched on the shoulder. "Play it," he said. The message came through. It was short and broken by static, but the words were clear enough. Earth, under control, Empire rules. Need aid, not mercy. Revenge. Silence followed. Riven looked around. His crew waited. No one spoke. Finally, he said one word. "Location?" The officer pointed. "Old Earth coordinates." Signal came from deep inside the Empire zone. Riven turned toward his second-in-command. A tall woman named Captain Vora. Her face was like stone. "Prepare the fleet. Silent mode. We jump in 3 hours." She nodded. "Are we going home?" He stared out the window at the stars. "We're not going home," he said quietly. "We're going to war." At the edge of a dying planet, the Empire's sector watch station detected the signal too. Sirens blared. A blue-skinned officer slammed his claws on the desk. That was a human code. Another alien technician hissed. "That planet should be silent. Earth is controlled," the officer growled. "Then we missed something. Contact the Emperor." Moments later, a giant screen flickered on, showing the face of the Galactic Emperor, a tall, insect-like creature with glowing red eyes and golden armor. "You called?" It said coldly. The officer bowed. "Your Highness, Earth has sent a signal. We believe it reached someone outside our grid." The Emperor's red eyes burned brighter. "Then we must destroy whoever answers." 3 hours later, deep in the nebula, Commander Riven stood before a table glowing with a 3D map of the galaxy. Tiny red lights showed Empire systems. Earth blinked in the center, a red dot surrounded by enemy territory. Riven spoke to the assembled captains. "Years ago, we ran, we hid, we survived, but now Earth has called." He paused. "They didn't ask for help. They asked for revenge." The room stayed quiet. Riven's voice grew stronger. "We won't bring them hope. We'll bring them fire." A low cheer broke out. Then louder, fists hit tables. Weapons clicked into place. At a gun. On the way to Earth, the human fleet passed a moon-sized mining station controlled by the Empire. Inside that station, a patrol ship received a faint ping on its scanners. Movement detected. Strange signature, not Empire tech. The alien captain frowned. "Could be pirates?" Then the radar lit up. "No. There are too many ships. Where are they coming from?" the captain asked. Before he could finish, the walls of the station shook. The first human torpedo hit. A flash of light lit the sky. The Empire base exploded into pieces. Aboard the human flagship, Vora smiled. First blood. Riven nodded. Let them feel the fear we lived in. Back on Earth, in the shadows of broken buildings, Ilara looked up at the night sky. She sat with Marcus and Maya, watching the stars. They didn't know if the signal had worked. But something had changed. I feel it, Maya whispered. Something's coming. Then the sky flashed. Streaks of light jumped trails, cut through the darkness. Ships. Hundreds of them. A voice came through on a hidden radio, one only old rebels still had. This is Commander Riven of the Human Flame Fleet. Earth, we're here. Ilara's eyes filled with tears. They heard us. But hope never comes alone. In response, the Galactic Empire sent its most powerful war machine, the World Ender. The massive battleship was larger than a city. Its hull was covered in black crystal. Its weapons could destroy moons, and it was now heading straight for Earth. Riven stood at his ship's main window. The World Ender had appeared on their scanners. Vora looked at him. Do we fall back? Riven shook his head. No, this is what they used to crush our planet. He stepped forward. Now let's see if they're ready when we strike back. Hi. Above Earth, the first battle began. The sky turned red. Human ships moved faster than Empire sensors could track. They used stolen tech, modified weapons, and unpredictable tactics. The Empire had never seen humans fight like this. They expected fear. They got fire. Riven's ship flew straight into the center of the fight. He sent a message to all ships. For the families we lost, for the home they stole, no mercy. They hit the World Ender with everything they had. The battle lasted hours. Ships fell on both sides. Explosions covered the sky like stars. Then, a small human fighter flew into the heart of the Empire ship. It was Maya. She whispered over comms, for Kessler. She triggered the core overload. The World Ender cracked and exploded. A shockwave rushed through the sky. Cheers echoed across the human fleet. On Earth, Ilara stood on a rooftop as debris rained from the sky. But this time, it wasn't human buildings burning. It was Empire metal. Marcus laughed through tears. They did it. Ilara smiled. No, we did it. This is just the beginning. In the dark chambers of the Empire's capital, the Emperor watched the footage. His claws tightened. So, the humans have returned. He turned to his generals. Then we will answer them with war. The Martian night was cold and quiet. Thin winds brushed across the red sand. Above, stars blinked in silence. Deep under the surface, inside a massive Empire facility, machines hummed, and guards marched in endless patterns, but none of them saw the shadow moving through the dark vents. Jace, a young human saboteur, crawled slowly through the narrow tunnels. His face was covered in dust. His heart beat fast, but his hands were steady. He whispered to himself, "One spark is all we need." Jace wasn't a soldier. He had been a mechanic back on Earth, but the Empire took everything from him, his parents, his home, his freedom. Now he was fighting back the only way he knew how, by breaking things below him. Through a vent grate, he saw the main power core. It was huge, glowing blue, and pulsing like a heartbeat. It powered all the Empire's operations on Mars. And it was his target. In a quiet rebel base, hidden under old Martian ruins, Ilara stared at a blinking screen. She waited. Maya stood beside her, arms crossed. He should have sent the signal by now, Maya said. Ilara didn't answer. Her fingers tapped the console nervously. Marcus entered the room. "Anything?" "Not yet," Ilara replied. "Jace is inside." "But if he's caught?" "He won't be," Maya said. "He's smart." Ilara nodded, though her face was still tense. "If he pulls this off, we can disable the Empire's Mars fleet for weeks." Marcus looked at the clock. And if he fails? Ilara took a deep breath. Then we lose the spark. Inside the Empire base, Jace dropped silently into a storage room. He checked his wrist device. It showed a countdown, 7 minutes. He moved fast, planting small charges along key power lines. Every step had to be perfect. If he triggered the wrong alarm, he'd be dead before taking the next breath. Suddenly, footsteps echoed down the hall. Jace froze. 2 alien guards passed by, speaking in their strange clicking language. One stopped, sniffed the air, looked around. Jace held his breath. Then they moved on. He let the air escape his lungs slowly. Too close. He finished placing the last charge and activated his comlink. This is Jace. Charges set. Timer running. 10 minutes to blackout. Back in the rebel base, Ilara heard the message and smiled. He did it. Maya nodded. Now we wait. Ilara looked at the map. No, now we attack. Above Mars, an Empire patrol ship cruised near orbit. Inside the command deck, alarms began to flash. Power drop detected. Systems failing. Suddenly, the lights went out. The engines stopped. Every screen went black. The captain screamed, "Find the cause." But it was too late. Dozens of human stealth ships uncloaked nearby. In seconds, they fired EMP bombs and railgun rounds. The Empire ships didn't even get a shot off. Mars shook with fire from above. In the facility, Jace sprinted through the dark halls as red emergency lights blinked. Sirens howled. He heard the sound of running boots guards. Searching. He reached a sealed blast door. His path was blocked. Jace growled. "Come on." He hacked the panel. It sparked. Then failed. The guards were close now. He could hear their angry voices and weapons charging. He looked up and smiled. There was a maintenance shaft above him. He jumped, grabbed the edge, and pulled himself up just as the guards entered the hall. "Find him." One shouted. Jace crawled through the narrow pipe, grinning. "I'm already gone." An hour later, Jace stood in front of Ilara, covered in dust, smiling proudly. "You did it," Ilara said. "I told you," he replied. "All it takes is one spark." Maya looked at the live feed from Mars orbit. Half the Empire's fleet was drifting powerless. "We've done more than damage," she said. "We've given them fear." Marcus leaned against the wall. "That's the first real win, but the Empire will respond hard." "They can try," Ilara said, "but they can't stop all of us now." Meanwhile, on a distant command station, the Emperor watched the reports in silence. "Sabotage on Mars," a general said. "Half our ships are disabled. Unknown human fleet involved. Rebels everywhere," the Emperor stood. "You told me Earth was broken. You said the humans had no fight left." "They didn't, my lord. Something has changed." The Emperor narrowed his glowing eyes. "Then we changed too. Prepare the enforcers. Increase control on all rebel systems." He turned to the stars beyond the window. "Kill the spark before it becomes a fire." On Mars, the rebel signal played through secret channels. A simple message broadcast across captured systems. "We are still here. We are not afraid. We remember what you did. And now ... so will you." Jace watched the message play. He turned to Ilara. "Think they heard that?" Ilara smiled. "Oh yes, they heard." And far away, the Empire began to tremble. The stars around Empire territory no longer looked safe. What once felt like a wall of control and power now looked weak. Cracks had started to form, and those cracks were leaking blood. Inside the Empire's military war room, panic was spreading fast. One commander slammed his fist on the table. Another fuel depot exploded. "That's 5 this week." A second alien officer hissed. "They strike and vanish. They use our tech, our roots. It's like they know us better than we do." The supreme strategist of the Empire, a pale creature, with long arms and a cold voice spoke slowly. They are humans, but they have changed. The lights dimmed. A hologram flickered to life. It showed a fleet of dark ships moving like shadows across Empire space. This, the strategist said, is not a rebellion. This is a war. On a hidden asteroid base called Outpost Ember, the human leaders gathered around a long table. Commander. Riven stood at the front, arms crossed, watching the screen. We've hit their mining operations, said Captain Vora. Crippled 3 patrol zones. Now their supplies are bleeding. Riven nodded. Good, but we need more than damage. We need fear. Ilara, standing beside him, stepped forward. Then I have a plan. The room went quiet. She tapped the console. A map lit up showing Vesker 7. A massive Empire war factory. It built battleships, armor, drones, everything the Empire needed to stay in power. It's heavily protected, Maya said. One wrong move and we're vapor. Ilara smiled. Not if we hit them from inside. On Vesker 7, life moved like clockwork. Thousands of alien workers moved through metal corridors. Massive machines roared. Drones hovered, scanning for weakness, but no one noticed a single transport ship slipping into a landing bay. It was painted like an Empire cargo ship, but it WA's and single quotes T. Inside, Ilara, Maya, and Jace stepped out dressed in stolen Empire uniforms. Maya whispered, "Are we really doing this?" Ilara answered, "The Empire can't stop bleeding if we cut the heart." Jace smiled. "Let's give them a heart attack." They moved through the factory unnoticed. Every step was part of the plan. Ilara had spent weeks studying maps, learning patterns, stealing codes. They reached the central control room. Jace connected his device to the main system. Lights flickered. Doors clicked open across the station. Ilara gave the signal. Now! Outside, hidden ships uncloaked. Human fighters poured into the sky, blasting towers and disabling defense systems. Panic spread through the base. Inside, alarms screamed. "We've been breached," shouted an Empire officer. The strategist on board shouted into the comms, "Defend the core! They must not reach the..." A huge explosion shook the base. The power grid failed. Ilara smiled. Too late. In space, Riven's fleet attacked without mercy. Empire ships scrambled to respond, but their own systems betrayed them, hacked from within. Vora fired the final torpedo at the main. Fuel tanks. The sky lit up. The war factory exploded like a dying star. News of Vesker 7's destruction spread fast. On distant planets, Empire soldiers looked at the sky with fear. Whispers began. The humans are winning. The Empire is bleeding. They are not prey anymore. On Earth, Marcus sat with old rebels around a fire. They listened to the radio message coming from deep space. This is for every world they crushed, for every voice they silenced. The Empire thought we were broken. They were wrong. Ilara's voice ended the message with a simple word. Run. Far away, in a dark room deep within the Empire's palace, the Emperor stared at a burning map. He pointed to Earth. Wipe it out. A general hesitated. But Earth is rising. They are no longer isolated. They have allies. Fire alone may not stop them now. The Emperor's voice turned sharp and deadly. Then don't use fire, use fear. He turned to a secret chamber, released the enforcers. Back at Outpost Ember, the human rebels cheered the destruction of VSKAR-7.JACE. Clapped Ilara on the back. We actually did it. Ilara smiled. The Empire is bleeding. But they're not dead yet. Riven walked in, holding a datapad. His face was serious. They've changed tactics, he said. They're sending something else. What? Maya asked. Riven looked up. Not ships, something worse. Everyone went quiet. Then we hit them harder, Ilara said. Riven shook his head. We're not just fighting an empire anymore. We're fighting something ancient. Something they've been hiding. Maya whispered, "What now?" Riven answered, "Now. We prepare for what bleeds us back." Outside, stars lit up the sky. But behind them, in the deepest parts of space, something dark was moving. It didn't need ships. It didn't need commands. It only needed orders to hunt, and the orders had just been given. The stars above the rebel base flickered like small fires. Below them, Commander Riven stood in the war room, staring at the galaxy map. Red lights showed destroyed Empire bases. Yellow lights marked human-controlled zones. But something else. Was there green lights? New. Unknown. Moving closer, Captain Vora walked in quietly. "They're watching us." Riven didn't turn around. "Who?" She pointed at the green lights. "Unknown ships. Not Empire. Not ours. But they've been tracking our fleet movements." Jace entered the room next. I picked up strange radio signals. Alien code. Old language. Hidden, like ghosts whispering. Ilara joined them, her voice low. "Maybe we're not alone in this fight." Riven finally turned. "Then it's time to shine a light into the shadows." Far across the galaxy, on a broken moon, a secret meeting was about to begin. The place was called Drift Hollow, a forgotten trade station long abandoned after the Empire's first wave of destruction. Inside its dusty halls, different species waited in silence. Tall insectoids with glassy eyes, four-armed warriors with skin like stone, and bird-like aliens who clicked nervously. They weren't friends. Most had fought each other before. But now they had one thing in common. The Empire had crushed them all. The doors creaked open. The humans entered. Riven, Ilara, and Maya walked through the long corridor, surrounded by tension. All eyes turned to them, one of the stone-skinned. Warriors growled, "You brought war, and now you want help?" Riven stepped forward, his voice calm but firm. "We didn't bring war. The Empire did. We only lit the fire." The bird-like alien hissed, "And you expect us to burn with you?" Ilara looked at them all. "No, we expect you to stand, together." Silence followed. Then a deep voice spoke from the shadows. "You speak boldly for a dying race." A tall, cloaked figure stepped into the light. Its face was hidden, but its voice was clear. "I am Jarek, last of the Afathi. My people were erased. My world turned to ash. I've waited long for revenge." He walked toward Ilara. "If your spark can burn the Empire, I'll fan the flames." Others began too. Nod, some stepped forward. The bird creature raised its wings. "We join, but not out of hope, out of hate." Maya whispered to Riven, "We just made history." Riven replied, "No, we just built a weapon." The newly formed alliance launched its first mission together, and assault on Sharon Prime, a massive communication hub used by the Empire to track rebel ships. Each alien group brought their own power. The insectoids could cloak their movements. The stone warriors broke through walls. The birds could jam signals with screech waves, and the humans brought the plan. Jace led the tech team. He laughed as the alien tools responded to his touch. "They built it, we're just using it better." The team planted virus programs into the system. Within minutes, Empire ships all across the sector went blind. Ilara stood on a high ledge watching the panic below. They don't even know who's hitting them anymore. Jarek, beside her, whispered, "That's what fear looks like." In the Empire's core chamber, the Emperor stood in silence. The holotable before him showed chaos. A general said, "Multiple alien groups are supporting the humans now. Even the ones we thought extinct." The Emperor's voice was cold. "And why do they join them?" Another general replied, "Because we gave them no reason to stay loyal. We took everything. Now they want it back." The Emperor turned slowly. "Then we take what they still have. And we crush the humans first." Back in Drift Hollow, the celebration was small but real. For the first time in years, laughter echoed through the broken walls. Ilara raised a cup. To our new allies, and to old enemies now standing beside. Jarek raised his own cup, to the end of the Empire. But as they drank, a sharp signal cut through the joy. An emergency message. A rebel outpost had just been destroyed. Not by ships. Not by bombs. Not by something alive. Riven read the data. They've sent something new. Ilara's smile faded. The enforcers? No, Riven said. Something worse. The room went quiet again. The war wasn't over, but the galaxy had changed. The shadows now stood beside Earth, and the Empire was bleeding more than ever. The sky above Station Vale 7 was quiet. Too quiet. Captain Ilara stared at the clouds from her command post. Something didn't feel right. The air was too still. The scanners too silent. She turned to Jace, her engineer. Any signals? He tapped. On his screen, nothing but static, no movement, no chatter. Exactly, she whispered. That's the problem. Since the rebels and their alien allies destroyed the Empire's communication hub, they'd expected a counterattack. But a full week had passed. No ships, no warning. Just silence. And then the message came. A loud, painful screech blasted through the radio, followed by a robotic voice. Purge unit activated. Target, Earth Alliance. Ilara's blood turned cold. It's here. 3 hours later, reports flooded in. Entire outposts were being erased. No explosions, no battles, just ... Nothing left. Not even bodies. Jarek, the cloaked warrior from the shadows, stood beside Riven as holograms showed destroyed bases. His voice was low. They've unleashed a living weapon. Riven frowned. What kind? No metal, no bone. Just rage. And flame. It doesn't follow commands. It follows pain. Jace looked confused. That sounds impossible. Jarek looked directly at him. It's called the Pyrithra, a bioengineered creature. The Empire created it to win wars without soldiers. It feeds on heat, energy, and fear. Ilara leaned closer to the map. Then we need to take out its heart. The plan was risky. Station Vale 7 would act as bait. They'd power up all reactors, broadcast high-frequency signals, and draw the Pyrithra there. Then, underground fusion bombs would collapse the entire base, burying the beast. But there was a problem. The Pyrithra wasn't stupid. The warning came fast. Ilara stood in the center of the base as the lights flickered red. Alarms blared. The temperature climbed. Maya shouted from the lower deck. It's not coming through space. It's already inside. The air shimmered. A wall melted. And then it stepped through. A being of fire and shadow. No eyes, no armor. Just raw fury wrapped in flames. Every step it took left burn marks on the steel floor. Soldiers fired plasma rifles. Nothing stopped it. Screams echoed. Ilara grabbed her headset. Evacuate now. Everyone move. Riven's voice came back, sharp. We can't detonate while you're in there. I'll hold it back, she said, pulling out a thermal blade. Hit the switch when I say. Inside the smoke and fire, Ilara moved fast. The Pyrithra chased her through corridor after corridor, tearing walls apart, absorbing heat from every weapon used against it. Ilara ducked into the control room and slammed the blast doors shut. Maya called her. The thing's slowing down. It senses the trap. Ilara looked at the energy core on the panel. Then I'll make it feel something new. She punched the override key. The core began to overheat. Sparks flew. I'm going to make it angry, she said. Tell Riven to be ready. Outside the base, the fleet floated in silence. Jace watched the screen. Core's going critical. She's not leaving, Jarek growled. No warrior leaves when the fire is within. Riven clenched his fists. She's not dying for this. Not alone. He ran to the dropship. Prep for breach. We go in, get her out, and then we blow. It's sky high. Inside, Alara faced the Pyrethra as it smashed through the final door. The heat was unbearable. Her armor began to crack, but she stood tall. Blade ready. I'm not afraid of you, she said. Because you're not the only one burning inside. She threw a plasma grenade into its chest. The beast screamed, not in pain but confusion. Lights dimmed. The floor cracked. Just then, boom, the wall behind her burst open. Riven and Jarek appeared in full combat gear. Riven shouted, "Time to go." They grabbed Alara and ran as the entire base shook. The Pyrethra followed, slower now, wounded. Once they were clear, Jace triggered the fusion bomb. A flash of white light exploded behind them. The ground collapsed, then. Silence, back aboard the flagship. Alara lay on a medical bed. Her face was bruised, but she smiled. Did we get it? Riven nodded. For now. Jace added, the base is gone. No signs of the creature, no movement. Jarek looked at them. That was only one. The Empire may have more. Alara sat up slowly. Then we find them, one by one. Burn their monsters before they burn our future. She looked out the window at the stars. The fire within us, she whispered, is stronger than anything they send. The stars began to fall long before anyone noticed. One by one, satellites vanished from orbit. Deep space probes stopped sending signals. Defense grids blinked out without warning. At first, Earth's leaders thought it was just system errors. Then came the message burned into the moon's surface by an energy beam. The sky is no longer yours. Panic spread across every country. If the stars above were being taken, then something or someone was coming for everything. General Isaac Wren stood inside Earth's high command station, staring at the hologram of the damaged moon. They're dismantling our eyes, he said quietly. We're blind. Beside him, Commander Lee gritted her teeth. Who would do this? Riven, now a trusted war hero, stepped forward. The Empire is done playing with us. They're sending the real force this time. Then we send a real answer, Isaac replied. The council met in secret, generals, scientists, and former rebels. One word repeated through the room like a whisper. Starbreaker. Alara leaned forward, eyebrows furrowed. You think they built it? Jarek nodded. Yes, a massive siege platform. Bigger than a city. It orbits suns, pulling energy to fuel its weapons. It doesn't land, it doesn't talk. It just erases. Jace pulled up a map of the stars. It's moving from system to system, fast, and now it's here. Riven pointed at Earth's orbit. If it reaches this system, it'll destroy everything before we can launch even a warning. Then, we strike first, Alara said. The mission was desperate. They loaded the Valkyris, Earth's fastest warship, with their best soldiers and tech. Riven would lead the charge. Alara would guide navigation. Jace would control the tech. And Jarek silent. Deadly would finish whatever lived inside the Starbreaker. They didn't know if they'd return, but they had no choice. The moment the Valkyris entered high orbit, the sky changed. A black shape, massive and cold, blocked out the stars. The STARBREAK, no engines. No lights, just a shell the size of a continent, rotating slowly in silence. Dear God, Jace whispered. It's not a ship, it's a world. They moved in close. No turrets. No drones. No signal. It was as if the thing didn't care who came close. It had nothing to fear, but inside, hidden behind layers of metal, the Starbreaker was alive. They breached through a thermal vent and entered its hollow core. The walls were smooth, like bone. The lights glowed red, pulsing with every step. This place is breathing, Alara muttered. Zherrak held his blade tightly. It was made to feel like a god. As they moved deeper, machines began to wake. Spheres floated down the halls, scanning, beeping, attacking without sound. Riven fired first. Defense drones. They fought their way through, room after room, blast after blast. Each chamber looked more alien than the last. Finally, they reached the core. It wasn't an engine room. It was a throne room. At the center, seated on a twisted chair of fire and glass, was a being none of them had seen before. It was tall, thin, and wrapped in living metal. Its face had no features, just smooth silver, reflecting their fear. "I am the Watcher," it said without moving its mouth. "The Starbreaker is not a weapon, it is judgment." Alara stepped forward. "Why destroy us?" "You reached too far," the Watcher said. "The stars were not yours to touch." Jace snapped. "We earned every inch we traveled." The Watcher tilted its head. "Then prove your worth." The floor beneath them split. Suddenly, they were falling. They landed in a coliseum, no walls. Just a sky full of fake stars, and a crowd made of shadows. The Watcher floated above. Fight, win, or burn. Machines formed from the ground. Fast. Sharp, hungry, Jarek grinned. "Now this, I understand." The battle was chaos. Blades clashed. Lasers burned. Blood spilled. Riven took a blow to the chest, fell but got back up. Alara pulled him to safety. "No dying today." Jace hacked a control panel. "Give me 30 seconds, I can overload the arena." Jarek kept the machines at bay, dancing like a storm. Then boom, the arena cracked. Fire and sparks flew. The floor gave out again. They dropped into the Starbreaker's true core. Thousands of fusion hearts glowed like stars, linked by veins of dark metal. Jace's eyes widened. "This is how it destroys systems. It eats light." Riven held up a charge. "We kill the heart, we kill the beast." Alara nodded. "Plant them all, fast." They ran. Sirens screamed. The Watcher appeared one last time, now angry. Its voice echoed inside their minds. "You would choose death for your kind, just to hurt me?" "No," Riven said. "We choose freedom." As they planted the final explosive, escape pods launched from the side of the Starbreaker. The Valkyries locked onto their signal. Inside the ship as they flew away, Alara whispered, "Now." Riven pressed the detonator. The Starbreaker didn't explode like a bomb. It cracked like glass. Light burst out from every line of its surface. Pieces floated into space like dying stars. For the first time in decades, silence returned to the void. They watched from orbit as the monster died. Back on Earth, people gathered in the streets, staring at the night sky. One child pointed up. "The stars are back." General Isaac smiled at the news feed. Riven, tired and bruised, stood behind him. "Not just the stars," he said. "Hope." Alara added, "They wanted us to fear the sky. We answered by taking it back." The Watcher's warning had failed. The stars were Earth's once more. The stars were burning. Captain Lyra stood at the edge of the command deck, watching the feed from Earth's last satellite before it went dark. Static flickered across the screen. "They shut down our whole network," said Commander Moloch, his voice tight with anger. Lyra didn't answer right away. Her hands curled into fists. It wasn't just a shutdown. "They wanted silence. Orders?" Moloch asked. She turned. "Wake Project Firestorm." His eyes widened. "That's not ready." "It doesn't matter," she said. "We won't survive another attack." Down in the heart of the ship, sealed behind 6 titanium doors, Project Firestorm was stored humanity's most dangerous secret. A weapon built not to defend, but to end wars. As engineers worked to activate the core, Lyra called the last members of the Human Council. A hologram flickered on. "Captain," said Counselor Wren. His voice trembled. "We saw what the Zarkith did to Sydney. Millions." "They won't stop," Lyra replied. "This is extermination." The Council hesitated. "Give the order," she said. "Let Earth strike back." Wren looked into her eyes, then nodded. "Do it." Moloch turned toward her. "Where do we send it first?" Lyra's voice was cold. To their capital, let the Empire bleed. On the Zarketh homeworld, Emperor Dronek floated above his silver throne. He looked at the battlefield. Reports, confused. Explain to me how Earth survived the orbital purge. He snapped. His advisor, a four-eyed being named Cress, shifted nervously. Their warships are still operational. We believe they're using old human code to block our signals. I thought we deleted their skies, Dronek growled. We did. But something is still moving down there. Suddenly, the palace walls shook. A deep rumble vibrated through the ground. The lights flickered. What was that? The Emperor shouted. Unknown energy spike, Cress said. Near our orbital tower. Moments later, the tower exploded. On a screen nearby, something appeared. A massive black triangle, nearly silent, hovered in space above their world. Red lights glowed beneath its surface. It's not Zarketh, whispered one of the guards. That's human. The triangle began to spin, and then it fired. Back on Earth's warship, Malik stared at the readings. Direct hit. Their shield. Generators are down. Lyra didn't smile. Don't stop. All systems locked in. Firing again. The second wave melted through Zarketh's orbital ring. Shattered debris rained onto their cities. Still, the weapon didn't stop. Lyra turned to the screen where a live feed from the weapon showed the burning surface below. Do you hear that? She asked. Malik listened. What? Nothing. That's the sound of silence they gave us. Now we return it. In the capital, Emperor Dronek ran through a private tunnel beneath the palace. Smoke filled the air. His guards were gone. Only Cress followed. They were insects, the Emperor muttered. Primitive, weak. How could they were quiet, Cress said. Too quiet. We assumed they were broken. Suddenly, a transmission burst through their emergency channel. A human voice. This is Captain Lyra of Earth. You took our sky. So we took your stars. The message repeated, over and over, like a drumbeat of war. Drenek's hands shook. We must surrender. Cress blinked. You destroyed their cities. Do you think they'll listen now? Outside, the triangle ship moved into the planet's atmosphere. In orbit, Lyra watched the data. Heat levels on the planet were rising. The Zarketh fleet was scattering, many leaving orbit and running into open space. They're retreating, Malik said. Their ships are abandoning the capital. Good, Lyra said. Let them carry the story across the stars. Malik paused. Are we still going to destroy the planet? She looked away for a moment, then whispered, No, we've said enough. Turn the weapon off. The crew obeyed. The weapon dimmed, and the black triangle stopped spinning. Silence. Then cheers filled the control room. They had survived. They had struck back, and the galaxy was watching. A week later, the Galactic Council, once mocking Earth, sent an emergency envoy. We saw what you did, the alien ambassador said, standing before Lyra on neutral ground. You have proven your strength. Lyra crossed her arms, and the ambassador bowed low. We wish for peace. She gave a small nod. Peace is earned, not given. Remember that. That night, Malik stood beside her, looking out at Earth's sky. Do you think they'll come again? He asked. Lyra looked at the stars. Maybe, and if they do? She smiled, just a little. Then we show them what happens when humanity strikes back.